Experts sitting with me and we're talking about LED. Get educated, get educated. How does that light shine so bright? Get educated. Experts sitting with me and we're talking about LED. Get educated, get educated.
Tell us what is the M series? What's different? What's unique? What's new?
We were trying to figure out, how do we get a very versatile product to market? All right. How do we get something that somebody can use in a variety of places and it's not as complex for them? And also a big driver was service, because so many people want different performance features. How do we do it so that not every time you want something different, you're looking at, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, an Asia lead time or something to get it. Yeah. So as we wrestled with all that, if you simplify outdoor lighting, you're going, okay, you've got things on walls and on poles and on the ground, you've got flood area, wall type products going on. They're really the same thing. It's just you need different lenses in different areas, and you need mechanically some different mountings.
Right.
So we ended up with a modular idea, and we said, let's put pieces together. Now, that's going to bring you some advantages, but I do want to clarify one thing. It's not modular at the customer's level. So this isn't something where the customer can put Legos together on their own.
I was going to ask you that, if it was like snap in different optics or snap in a different whatever.
No, that's kind of the golden vision a lot of people have. There are actually some disadvantages to that as well. And MaxLite has a history of being innovative. If you know anything about the Quadramax series, they actually took what everybody talked about. Wow, LEDs, you're going to be able to slide pieces together and do that. And they actually did something with it, right?
Yeah.
There are some big challenges and some cost points that
there's always going to be a compromise. You're going to either compromise price or you're going to compromise performance at some point when you're trying to become that versatile.
You nailed it. And so what you want to do is find that sweet spot, so the design is modular, but it's modular at the manufacturer's level. So what we're telling people is like, look, we've got a tremendous range of wattages. We're talking about 9 different wattages that cover you from 40 watts up to 320 watts. I'm an old guy, so in the HID world, we're all the way up at 1,000 watts down to about 100, 150 watt type HID range, right?
Yep.
So we're covering a wide swath of stuff, and what we'll do is we'll tell you what our base units are. Here's what we bring in ready to go, and we try to guess and speculate, and through experience, et cetera, which are the most common, so that hopefully we get that right. But then we say, here's some other parts and pieces, and within 2 weeks or less, we should be able to swap things around. If you need different lenses, need different mountings, we can do that. So the series has a singular head design, and there are 4 sizes. And that design came from the Impulse, which, by the way, also had 2 PO award-winning designs. Yeah. So when we did VOC, because these things are seen exterior, architectural significance, you gotta have something that looks nice. So we said, all right, we're not going to change the form factor. People like it. It's won awards. Why fix something that isn't broken, right?
Yeah. Plus, there's only so much you can do to the look of an exterior fixture like that, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we've got 4 housings, and then what we did is about 6 different mountings. So you've got, a standard arm mount. You've got tiltable arm.
The slip fitter.
Thank you. You got a slip fitter. Then you've got a trunnion for type applications. And then you've got 2 kinds of wall mounts. You got just a standard fixed one, and then you've got a tiltable, adjustable one. So right there alone, you've got a lot of options. And then within the mountings, we listen to contractor level feedback, a lot of ESCO feedback, back to that concept of ease of doing business, right? Yeah. So a lot of people complained about having to drill holes and match all that stuff up. So we have all slot patterns on our arms, so that if your existing drill hole patterns are within the slots, you shouldn't have to drill any holes. Nice. And then we had the other situation on the slip fitter, Leslie, which you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Every now and then, I mean, most of the time it's 2 3/8 inch outside diameter. That's industry common, right? But there are some 3-inch, right?
Yes.
And what happens? You find this out at 4:30 on a Friday on a 3-day weekend when a guy's up on a bucket truck, right?
Yes.
This thing won't fit. Now what do you do? Right.
Right.
I've done that.
Those are always fun.
Yeah.
Because it's always our fault too.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
So I kind of had enough of those calls. So I said, you know what? What if we did a 3-inch and it works on 2 3/8 inch? You know, how about?
So what's it got a sleeve in it or something?
No, it's just the set screws are bigger and longer.
Oh,
and the die cast part,
literally all you needed. Yeah, that's all you needed.
And so these are the little things that we tried to, from all of our experience, I've been around for a while. I use a lot of VOC help, I should say, voice of the customer. We believe very much in talking to the people that actually use it and do it. The same kind of concept was done for the lenses. Traditionally, MaxLite has been pretty basic. They'll have type 2, type 3, type 4, and type 5, pretty simple, straightforward, good, efficient stuff. Maybe some wide, maybe some narrow, but we're like, we need to step it up and we need to offer, a little bit more, like some of the bigger boys, right? And so we employed our agents nationwide and formed a council. And we had some discussions with them, and we brought in our applications people that do layouts, right? They should know what's needed. And we kind of said, we can't do 20 lenses. Breaks the bank. And we don't have the resources internally. But what do you think? And so we came up with 7 lenses. And so that's more than what we typically have. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as extensive as a Phillips or somebody like that, but we're definitely giving you some more choices, right? And greatly simple.
The more options you have, the more stock problems you end up having. And so correct. I prefer, pick one of these 3 or 4. I prefer that and stock up a lot on those. Again, like grab the 90%. The other 10% you're going to lose to the guy who has the weird, obnoxious lens that, only the biggest companies are going to have or whatever. What types of controls, like not for me because I can figure it out, but for people listening, what types of controls would you want to put on outdoor fixtures?
That's a great question. And this product line, because its focus is versatility, it gives you a lot of choices. So out of the box, the first thing straight up is going to be your most common stuff. Let's say you want an on-off basic photocell. Let's say you want a basic motion sensor that you can program, right? With that USB port, you can use our C-Max basic controls, which he talked about. Okay. So you would buy the fixture and then you go to a different menu and you'd say, I want just basic controls. I don't need something too snazzy. You got 2 choices in this case, and you buy that module and you go out there and you pop it in and you lock it down and you're good to go. And by the way, if you change your mind, you take it off, you go buy another one, no problem, right?
Yeah.
So then also people are wanting real basic network functions, right? Mm-hmm. We're not talking, it doesn't have to talk to your internet. It doesn't have to tell you, what's going, the weather and the news and all that stuff. If you just want to group them, or schedule them, have them talk to each other. Hey, I want this one to have a sensor, but talk to 3 or 4 or 5 others. Again, that's our network controls. You would go to that menu of the network controls and you would pick, which one you want. and you can go and install it, and then you program. In that case, you program it with your phone app, and you're good to go. So that's
something as simple as your car dealership lights all going on at the same time, right, or all going off at the same time, where you're not putting photo cells on every one and then they're clicking on and off, you know, randomly or whatever. Yeah.
And the things we were told and the cool thing, back to my statement about how the indoor and the outdoor work together, you know, people were saying when they come to school, sometimes they only want the first interior part where the light switches are in the offices and the outside safety security coming in. So because the system is all the same, you can schedule and group that together so that indoor and outdoor are in the same group, in the same setting. So that's how the product's wired. And as CMAX grows, your capabilities grow, and you don't have to change your fixture.
That's
there are a couple of other. You mentioned what are all the things. So we want to talk about CMAX, and we're proud of it and all that. That's not all there is. Okay, no, I think that's a great thing, and that's all you need. But okay, maybe you want something else. Let's say you're old school and you want, you know, your old grumpy old man, and you want the old twist lock photo cell, you know, pointed to the north and all that kind of stuff. The top platform of the fixture was designed in such a manner we can do that. What we will do, and this is back kind of to your question, we pull a base unit, we drill a hole in the top, and we install a twist lock photo cell. Now, I was making fun of the 3-pin. What would probably be more common is a 7-pin.
Yeah.
Because as you know, there are a lot of control systems out there, and somebody may be in love with that control system, or for whatever reason, they want one that maybe it does stuff with HVAC and all, you know, whatever. And it has a 7-pin module. Now what we can do is put that 7-pin receptacle in the fixture, and they can twist in their control and tie into their existing control system. Now, when we do that, we will disconnect the CMAX system in the fixture, because you can't have two functioning, because it'll confuse the, you know, it just won't work. So there's a second option. Now
it's like Samsung with 2 CEOs, you know,
right,
just a mess.
So we have two options right there. That's a factory installed one that, you know, it would take us a couple of weeks to do that. Then there's a third option. So if you're familiar with the company Avion, they have pretty sophisticated network control systems talking to the internet and the clouds and demand control and communication 2 ways and all this type of stuff. We have the capability of also doing that. We have it certified. So if somebody wanted to go beyond what we can currently do with CMAX network controls, they can do that. Again, it would be factory installed by us, and we would disconnect the CMAX. So to summarize it, for the series, you've got built-in, wired, ready to go, the CMAX system, which I think is pretty extensive in and of itself. You have the ability to do the twist lock, 7-pin or 3-pin or 5-pin, whatever you want. And then you have the ability to go with a, you know, professional, full-blown control company, Avion. So those are your 3 options on the family, if that kind of addressed.
No, that's incredible. So is the M series stuff shipping now, or is it coming?
Yes, it's here. I'd say about 90% of it is here. The reality is, you know, I've been doing this for 30 some years. I've never seen the logistical situation that we have now. And it's not surprising. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. And you know, it's just a reality. We do have 1 or 2 holes where they're sitting out in the port. Maybe we need to swim out and help them out. I'm not sure. But it's about 90% here. And obviously we have a lot in the pipeline.
Yeah, that's solid for a new product line to be well stocked, given what's going on in the world right now.
Well, one thing I wanted to circle back around, because there were a couple of innovative things on the M series real quick. The entire product line is CCT selectable. So that means 3,000, 4,000, or 5,000. Those are your three choices that you in the field, in this case, it is in the field control, that you can do. Now, when you typically do that, that's a big cost no-no as you get to higher wattages. You need more real estate, because the traditional way, and we do this in some of our products as well, and it's easy and it makes sense, is you double your LEDs, and you do 3,000 and you do 5,000. And when you're at 3,000, you're 100% power on the 3,000s. When you do 5,000, you're 100% power on the 5,000. And when you do 4,000, you have the power to all of them, and you mix, right?
Yeah.
And it works. That's not what we did on the M series. We have a very, very smart engineer on our staff. He has a doctorate degree, our director of engineering, and he knows LED chips. I mean, down to the he knows everything about them.
Wow.
And he said, if we actually, knowing how the color works, and if we actually mix 4 color temperatures, we can appropriately light only what we need. And 2 things happen. You get a truer CCT rather than going halfway between 3 and 5, because that color curve bends. You're actually dropping below where the true 4,000 is. In this case, we're hitting much closer on the 3,000, 4,000, and the 5,000, and we need less LEDs. It's a cost savings. And then we can shrink the fixture. We don't need as much real estate. So what'll happen is if you ever get a product in your hand, when you're looking at it in daylight or indoors, you're going to see significant color differences in the chip. And then when you're playing with the switch, not all the LEDs are going to light up.
Right.
Depending on what color you use, only certain ones will. Now, the cool thing about that is you don't see it at night. At night, it just comes out as white. But if you're in a conference room with other light or daylight, you may be a little bit unsettling for people. But it's kind of a different approach. We didn't just take the conventional approach here. We really looked at detail.
You're blending within the chip, though, I think, right? Yeah. So you're not using different color chips.
No, it's actually like we've got some, 6,000 CCT, 2,200 CCT, and they're really it's the proximity to each other is how that works. You have to have a decent proximity to each other, and it's understanding the color charts and how the colors blend with each other. Yeah. And I don't know it as, this is a guy who's got a doctorate degree.
Yeah.
No,
but again, the cool thing about that is because, in the field, you're not generally going to be changing color of your lights. But the cool thing about that is it's a stock thing. It's a logistics thing. There's a 3 times better chance that you're going to have stock when I need it. Right. Because
you nailed it. Yeah. But how do you do that
for 4,000 and you'll have 3,000 in stock or 5,000 in stock? So that's excellent.
And that allowed us to do it competitively, because the other problem is you want to offer that, but the reality is if your market won't pay for it, what do you do? And so we're trying to have our cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to point that out, that there are a lot of innovative things underneath the skin.
But I like the cool thing again, I'm not making this up. MaxLite isn't paying to be on our podcast or anything. No, from my standpoint, the things that you guys are innovating are common sense things. They're not like, one of the things I used to hate about the LED business was just the ridiculous number of patents that companies felt compelled to list on their boxes and stuff. You got a light bulb that you're supposed to put on your shelf in a retail store. This was in the early days, and you couldn't even read wattages and stuff on the label because there was like 500 patents listed on it, and there was no other specs on the box. There was no room, and it was like patents gone wild, technology gone wild, and just let's patent things so that we can charge higher prices and stuff like that. Whereas the technology you guys are coming up with is common sense. Like that to me immediately just says, I got a 66% better chance that you're going to have inventory when I need it of each of those products. And it's even better than that, because when you start talking about the fact that there's shared components between the products and all of that stuff, that increases that opportunity to get stock even better. So as you guys simplify your logistics, to me, that just means I can get product to my customer faster. I can win a job quicker, whatever it is, so that's all really good stuff.
The customer doesn't have to like make a full-on positive note that they want 5,000K or that they want 4,000K. You can change it. So let's say they say, oh, I want 3,000K, but they get it and they don't like it. So then they're like, oh, I wish that was a little bit brighter. Okay, let's change it. Click. It's
I mean, that's a really great point, Leslie. But in actual practice, on an exterior project, I've never seen that happen. Like where they suddenly change their mind on color temperature.
But when I bring a sample to a customer, I brought a sample to a customer where they're like, I want 3,000K on all my wall
showing a sample would be incredible. Yeah, no, you're right about that. Yeah, having
and that's a multicolor sample and then you go and you're like, click, here you go, here's a new color.
Yeah. Well,
and they're like, oh.
On the exterior, the walls, I could see that happening, but if you bring in a lot of realism here and it's up on a 20-foot pole, it's $1,000 to get a boom truck to go make that change. So a lot of times
you definitely want to do it during the sales meeting. You don't want to do it on site when you're
maybe that's something that you could put into your controls in future products.
Hey,
right.
That's in
the works. In the
back.
From an iPhone, I could talk to the receiver and
did I tell you about CMAX?
Yes.
Growing in the future.
Upsell.
Which sort of leads me to this next thing, which is, obviously you can't tell me any secrets or anything, but I'm assuming that the M series, we already talked to Umesh about, about where CMAX is kind of going, and it's not just a flash in the pan thing. This is really a platform, and it's going to continue growing, which I love. Again, building it around a USB plug-in, like to me, and I said this to Umesh too, it's in the entertainment world, audio, lighting, all of it is. And in software, it's all built on this sort of app or plug-in mentality. Because if today you want it to do this, but tomorrow you want it to do this, and the next day, like think of an iPhone with all the different apps. An iPhone is whatever you want it to be, really. It could be a calculator, it could be a movie screen, it could be 1,000 other things, 1,000,000 other things. And so that's what I love about the platform, the flexibility to make it become whatever it wants. So, without giving us any secrets, can you tell us, where it's all going, or even non-specific to MaxLite, what's the future of outdoor lighting as you see it?
Well, certainly for the M series, this is just the beginning. And so, the logical thing would be expansion of wattages and shapes, make canopies, some round areas, some wall things that are different, some bullet floods, smaller wallages. That's the easy one.
You think
internally, I'm sorry?
The post top?
Yes. We're thinking about post tops, spider mount and things.
Yeah.
So, that's all there, and that could go on for years, right? The other part is kind of the skunk works, stuff going on. This is some of it is refining and improving the photometrics. I mean, we've done a big step for MaxLite standards, but we still have a long way to go, and we need to do better at the photometrics, and we need to have more options. Also, what you were alluding to a second ago, color tuning and changing colors and bringing maybe RGB and that control from a phone, that's all already being worked on too. I couldn't tell you that there's a definitive timeline on any of these things, right? But we're busy. They're all in the works. There's a lot of things that we're looking at bringing to the table. One of the things about CMAX that I thought was ingenious, and I want to say, I think it was Ramesh, who you should have on this podcast. By
Absolutely,
the way.
yeah.
Should.
Yeah,
I'll talk to
we're just going to
Brian.
go through your halls and keep plucking
Yeah, we
people
really
and
are.
saying, "Hey, come on our podcast."
Yeah,
You know, 'cause
the
you guys
indoor
are all
night.
nice and you're all smart. So
I remember when we were talking about the beginning phases of CMAX, and we came up with the USB-C as opposed to, let's say, a simple audio jack. Well, one of the things, I don't know if Amesh talked about this, there are 18 different channels. We're only using one, but as we get into who knows what, and all these other kinds of capabilities, you're going to need more channels. And the platform is truly future.
I was going to ask you about that, like the ability to stack controls, for example,
right?
To have multiple controls on one device operating at the same time. We
have a lot of possibilities because it's the USB-C that's going to allow us, without having to overhaul and change everything. That's what always sucks is you do one little leap forward and you didn't think 2 or 3 leaps forward, and then each time you got to change everything. We truly hope that it is a 10 to 20 year product that that 15 years down the road is performing way different and better than it ever could when it first came out. But we have maybe enough in there to allow you to keep it fresh and up to speed.
That's what
Steven,
I was just going to ask.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, because if you have a fixture that you bought this year and then 10 years down the road, you want CMAX controls finally, is it going to work with this year's product, with this year's fixture?
Yes, it will. All you need is that 12-volt auxiliary and it'll work. And you've got the dimming driver. It will definitely work. And as
we recorded this, though, Steve.
We recorded this.
We did record this.
We're live.
You just guaranteed backwards compatibility there.
That's right. I hope I'm on an island somewhere drinking something.
So, did we miss anything at all?
I was just going to talk a little bit more about the photometrics that we had a rep council that helped us, because the struggle wasn't what all could you have. The struggle was what makes sense for the biggest bang in the buck. And so we ended up with 2 type 3s, 2 type 4s, and 2 type 5s. So you have a couple of choices. And then we have a dedicated narrow, and kind of a shout out to the agents that helped. There were people that spent some time with us to give their input, and
exactly what you should have.
That was really helpful. And then we also tried to reduce the backlight, which in area light's a huge deal, right?
Yep.
We got that down to about 18%, which is pretty good. And then we have a backlight shield that will and it's field installable, real easy to use type thing. And it gets it down to like 4%, 4 or 5%. So
what standard colors do the fixtures come in?
They come standard in bronze, and then we can do, white or silver or black, but that's a special order. Any different
bronze is in stock?
Bronze is what's in stock, yes.
Oh, okay.
That is something we're looking at improving on in the next generation, and that's probably that's a little bit more difficult because you have to have facilities, so that's moving facilities around. Currently, I should say it's a TAA product that's coming from Korea, so it's not a Chinese one. So that does allow some government work where they will accept TAA, and in the future, we're looking at bringing it closer to home, as close as we can, and keep it affordable. And then something like different finishes would be something we would gain much better ability. I mean, we can do it now.
Yeah, bronze will get you in a lot of places, but it won't get you everywhere. That's for sure.
Right.
So,
it worked.
I can think of a bunch of applications right at this very moment that
I really can't.
We wouldn't get away with bronze.
Well, it worked for Henry Ford, though, right? You can get it in any color as long as it's black, right?
Yeah.
Try that now.
As long as it's bronze.
Try that now. This is the world of many choices.
That's true.
All right, Steven, thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate you We appreciate
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me. Thank you very much. I appreciate the invite, and I wish you and everybody a good weekend, wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. You as
Thanks
well.
so much.